toes on my feet, stomping out the negativity. Everybody not a friend of me, spread the love, still I move deliberately. Bully face on, but the smile be heavenly. Brooklyn girls, so they love the energy, love sincerity. So I take the liberty to take them on a journey lyrically, through hallways and alleys, dark days.
Hey,
Hello.
hey, beautiful.
Hello.
Good morning, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Why are you doing amazing?
Well, besides the fact that I live in paradise, I have been selling a lot of my art.
Yes. Well,
Right?
isn't that beautiful? I'm loving that Frida slash Mona Lisa slash smoking slash chilling. I'm kind of feeling that vibe right there. She's hot. I like her. How's she doing?
I just packed her up and sent her to her new home
You
today.
better work, Miss Melissa. Happy Women's Month. Happy Women's
Right?
Month. Happy Melissa D. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming back to another edition of The Next Chapter, where we discuss shades of gray. And this topic of the week is so befitting to what's going on with women in Women's Month, because today we are going to be discussing life after divorce. I'm learning to get right to it. You know what I'm saying? Because on YouTube, I'm noticing that, the attention span isn't but so long. So, that whole 2-3 minutes we go into talking and chit chatting and trying to warm people up, they don't want that. They
No.
want us to get right into it.
Yes.
So we're going to get right into life after divorce.
So let me ask you, Kitty, are you divorced?
Who you asking for? So, yes, spiritually, I am
Okay.
divorced. However, between you and I and our audience, legally, I am still married to my husband, but I am no longer intimately and spiritually married to him. No. Are you still married?
I am not married anymore. I have uncoupled consciously from my ex-husband.
Okay,
Yes.
uncoupled, and I called mine husband. Explain your uncoupled.
I think that growing up and being from a family that was divorce had such a negative like cloud over it. And when you hear people say like, "Oh, I'm getting divorced," it's always like, "Oh, it must be terrible. It's an awful divorce." But for my ex and I, we considered it more of a conscious uncoupling. Like we went into the relationship with love and we can go out of the relationship in love and still have a healthy relationship. And it doesn't have to be nasty and we don't have to lose respect for each other. And so we've just called it an a conscious uncoupling. And I think a
Wow.
lot of people are trying to do that now because divorce just sounds so negative and it doesn't have to be.
Okay. Okay. Well, I am filing the paperwork this year for my conscious uncoupling.
Uncoupling, yes.
Uncoupling, right. Yes. So I will be going through that process after 15 years of being separated. But what triggered this conversation for the both of us, or for me to wanting to have it today, is because like our audience knows, and if they don't know because they're new to us, you and I both are going through the next chapter of our lives. And in going through the next chapter of our lives, you going through recently having a divorce, and then not necessarily me going through a recent divorce, but me recently becoming an empty nester. So I saw a clip on YouTube, not YouTube, on Instagram, in regards to a television show that comes on, and they were discussing it, and I kind of wanted to bring that show on and get and let's talk about life after divorce around these clips.
It's reported that an astounding 45% of marriages will end in divorce. And you wonder why Chili ain't married.
Okay.
Okay, and while the media focuses on all the bitter emotions that can surface during divorce, experts say that there are surprising feelings that appear during this difficult time. For example, you may find yourself extremely happy you're divorcing one minute and then you're super sad the next. Psychologists say that this roller coaster of emotions is normal when it comes to grieving the end of a marriage. So, ladies.
So was it, I know that when I meet people who tell me that they're going through a divorce, my first response is congratulations, because I felt like it's almost like victory, that you were able to make this decision to end something that was important and move on. But when I first began doing television, I had shot a show called Natural Sessions that I used to shoot. And one of the conversations about an older gentleman that I had, who was describing his divorce or the end of his relationship, he talked about it felt like a death had happened to
Yes.
him. So even though you and your husband unconsciously uncoupled, 17 years, was it not, that you were married?
We were married for 9, and then we were together a total of 14 years. So
So
this year
9 years
actually would have
married.
been 10 years. Yeah.
So did it feel like a death?
It felt like a failure. Like we were going to
Mm.
that 48%, like she said, like we were going to be, that other percentage. We were going to be the ones to like win. We are going to beat the odds. And then it's like, shit, no, now we're just part of that other percentage. But the thing is, I try to remind myself when we created marriage, right? Forever was like 20 years. And now forever it's like 60 more. So yes, maybe till death do you part worked when the lifespan wasn't as long and you weren't evolving and developing into a different human as you're
But the
getting
life
older.
the lifespan was longer. We
Back
lived a
in
lot longer back in the day. We're dying now sooner. We lived longer before.
what? Back then? No, we were dying at 30. Now we're dying
No,
at
girl,
80.
you better check your facts. So
I'm checking the facts. I'm checking the facts.
let's go to another clip that kind of touched on what you talked about as far as like feeling almost a little bit of failure.
I'm actually still going through it. I
Wow.
think when the press got a hold of it, I think people thought we were. I had just filed, and so we're still going through it right now. I think in the very beginning, I was very distraught. I feel like there are phases whenever a relationship is ending, whether you're married or not. So it's that first phase, like, oh my God, I got to make this work for us. Then it's like, oh my God, I got to make it work for everybody else involved,
Yeah.
the family, if there are children, people who flew all the way to wherever to see you all get married. And then you get to a point where, like, you know what, this ain't working. It doesn't matter. And what really matters is that we both end up in a happy place. So I will attest to what it is that the psychologists say. It's hard in the beginning. But when you realize that to have happiness doesn't mean that you have to remain together, and it doesn't mean that you are a failure because the marriage failed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I did feel like a failure, but more than feeling like a failure, I felt like I had to secure my happiness. And I felt like in order for me even to be a better parent, I had to secure my happiness, because I was clearly not even looking happy anymore. And that energy was starting to shift, where you can feel that weight of unhappiness within my household. So I believe that once I ended the marriage and I came back to the household that I shared my space with my husband, that was interesting, but it allowed me to still be connected to him, or have some type of connection to raising my children with him in our home that we shared together, without feeling like we were still together. And that failure started to go away. But then what started to happen, I think the kids needed to see that I didn't feel like a failure, that I could keep moving on. And then the only thing that I started to really worry about was missing my family as a whole, but I didn't miss my husband.
Mhm.
Even though I liked my husband and we were friends. So it felt like a mourning. It felt like a failure, but it felt like a congratulations, like you did it. And you had to do it to be happy and to show what happiness looks like to your children. How did you feel after it's going on a year now, or has it been over a year?
We separated over a year ago. The divorce was official in September of 2021. So, it was sad, and I was the one that brought the subject up first. And, it was really hard because I didn't want to hurt anybody. And so I think we both have gone through the process of healing, figuring out more about ourselves, and still each other's biggest champions. We both know, like, if we ever needed anything, we could always count on each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aw, I wish I had that. Me and my husband are not friends, and it's so
Oh,
disappointing to me because that was what was key between us. That's what people loved really about us the most, was the friendship that they saw that him and I had, and it's really sad that we're not friends because we really don't have any beef with each other, and we ended up having like amazing freaking children. So it's disappointing, but now that they're almost like adults, I don't trip on being friends with him anymore. Like I'm like, I don't even have to ever speak to you again. And I hate that because that's not the example that I wanted to show to my children. I wanted to show that I truly believe in this day and age that the first marriages are not the marriages that's going to work. That the second marriages are the one that's going to work. So we have to show how to incorporate the life of the first marriage into the second one, because that relationship and that family still does matter. I'm still going to be connected to my husband for the rest of my life as long as we share children together. We have weddings, we have children, we have employment success. We have a lifetime of things that we have with children that we share. So our life is not over, and it would suck that I can't bring his family into my family dynamics with my events, or he can't bring me into his dynamics with my family because we don't get along. So the children are still split. Speaking of children,
all the different phases you go through, because it is very similar
yeah.
to the grieving process of even death. Like, they say there's different stages of grief where, you're angry, you feel the guilt trip of like, well, so many people came to my wedding or whatever it is. But I don't think people really understand that most healthy marriages, or that started out, and I don't think we're people that have healthy mindsets on what marriage is, they don't end. You don't wake up on a Thursday and say, I want to get divorced on Saturday.
Right.
That it doesn't work that way, that it is a really long process. Did you guys seek help? Did you know what I mean? Like, how would you say
everybody
was that
always-
long? It's a long process.
It is a long process.
Garcelle, you went through the process.
Yeah. Was it hard in the beginning? Absolutely. Is it hard now? No. But you grieve. You go through, I failed. And if you have children, the amount of failure you feel is even, more. But you like you said, like, you have to grieve. You have to grieve the life you thought you had.
Yeah.
You have to grieve, especially if there's betrayal involved. You go through all of it. And they say don't do anything drastic the first 6 months because you're just in your emotions. And you know what I mean? And with having kids, it's tough because you didn't set up to have your children half the time. You want to raise them all the time.
So I know for me, that was definitely something that I had to be mindful about when I was ending the marriage. But the fortunate thing about our situation is that I was able to co-parent with my husband the whole time that we've been separated thus far, with the raising of our children the last 15 years. But I definitely know that was a fear of mine. Like, well, what's, having, like, because we literally co-parent. So they were with me half the week and they were with him half the week. So for 3 days, I didn't have my kids. And then for 3 days, he didn't have the kids, where we were used to having our children 24 hours a day. But then I found that there was a blessing even in that, because then there was 3 days I didn't have my kids. So I was able to do some
Yes.
shit, you know what I'm saying? And there was 3 days he didn't have his kids, so he was able to do some shit. So we found a way to make that co-parenting work, but that took time, because initially we were both as involved parents, now having to split that responsibility. And I think that that was definitely the hardest for everyone all around, which is why most people stay in marriages until their children are adults. But then what look does that show? Children get raised in families where they saw no affection between their parents. You know what I'm saying? The parents-
Yeah, and I've met lots of people that wish that their parents would have divorced instead of having to deal with the passive aggressiveness, the seeing of like, the parents not loving each other anymore, or the fights and, snarky remarks and stuff like that. So I think it, like every other relationship we're in, we just have to figure out what's best for everybody involved, right? It has to be something that's consciously thought about. What is going to be the best? Is it best to separate and maybe live in a different room until the kids, grow up? I've heard people doing that. Like, we're divorced, but I lived in the house for 5 years just so that, we had the children still have a supportive parent network. So, different things work for different people. So I guess when people say like, yes, I'm divorced, my automatic response is, how do you feel about that?
And what's the response back?
It depends on who it is, right? Like it could be like, for me, it was like, it was a roller coaster. We still love each other. For some people, it's like, yes, I couldn't wait to get rid of that, lousy person. So I feel like, it's different feelings for different people, whoever you tend to approach with that conversation. And I got to say, for mine, I do believe it's probably easier since I don't have children. We do share custody of a dog.
But that's important.
Yes. And I'm noticing a lot of people are starting to do this now
Yes.
because our animals are so important to us. So, I have him in Puerto Rico with me for 6 months, and then I bring him up to where my ex is, and he has him for 6 months. So we share custody of the dog.
So, but on that note, let's take a moment to thank our underwriters.
Station MXA calling. Station MXA. Ladies and gentlemen.
Something's out there in space that regulations don't cover.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Everything we do is about community empowerment, building, learning, growing, and becoming self-sufficient. Tech believes that financial freedom and education are the civil rights movement of our time.
Almost Sade Skincare takes pride in using natural, nurturing skincare products to make New Yorkers glow and love their skin. For the past 30 years, we have tailor-made skincare regimens for people and their unique skin type. Now everyone can enjoy this service for free. All skin types, all ages. Your skin, your match. Simply go to SadeSkincare.com and sign up now for your free consultation.
And boom. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate everyone who continues to support the next chapter. And we are always still looking for more folks to, share their platforms with us on our broadcast here in the next chapter. So inbox us for details so you guys can see and support those that support us, because it's important that we keep the cycle growing. It's important that we keep the cycle going. And that's the things that we love to discuss and introduce here on the next chapter, where we discuss shades of gray.
So let me ask you, Kitty, do you want to get married again?
Are you spying on me? What's Whoever don't know that answer, hell yes, I want to be married again. Ask that question again. Hell yes, 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 yes. I want to be married again. I enjoyed being married. Um I liked and loved my husband, but I believe that the things that I wasn't taught and given the tools as a young woman are things now that I can help other young people understand when they're in the dating process before the courtship process, so that then when you're in the courtship process, you can maybe possibly prevent the divorce. But if you can't, you know what I mean, also realizing how life after divorce doesn't have to be a death sentence, how life after divorce can still be friends with that person that you were once married with, and then still can continue to share lives with in that second family that gets created. The person that I'm hoping to marry, has also been married before, so I think that, once you've gone through marriage the first time and you're all open to doing it the second time, that you've had like almost like a cheat sheet. You know what I'm saying? Where
It
now,
was your starter marriage. That's what we call
yeah,
it,
you know
starter
what I'm
marriage.
saying? Which kind of sucks to the first group. You know what I mean? The first people, like I got an inbox from my dude's ex-wife, you know what I'm saying? On some old, you get to reap all the benefits of all the hard work I've done. And I said, thank you. You know what I'm saying?
I think all first wives probably feel that way.
Yes. And what was I supposed to say? Sorry for you. I was polite and said thank you. She probably didn't like that shit, but well, it's too soon to ask you if you want to be married again.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I'm a very independent person, but I do want companionship. So whatever that means or looks like for me in the future, I have no idea anymore.
Did you feel like the ending of a marriage seemed like a death? I know we talked about that before, but did you really feel like that? And how did you overcome that as a therapist?
I think it helped having support of friends, really being able to like talk to them, because you don't want to cause anybody pain. And sometimes, like if I just forget it, like let's not get divorced, let's go back to the way that things used to be, everything will be all right, but it still doesn't solve the problem. And so it was helpful to have people to talk to, and even as a therapist, having a therapist myself to process those things too.
So what's our wraparound? What are we giving to the people when it comes to, talking about and feeling if there is life after divorce? What's our wraparound? What's your wraparound?
I believe, yes, there is life after divorce, and it's just as fruitful as you want it to be.
Speaking of life after divorce, because I have a little bit more time than you, I have 15 years now. So yes, there is life after a divorce, but I love really the ending to what MC Light said in that clip that I showed. It doesn't mean that you are unhappy, or it doesn't define your happiness, and I think that in everything we do, we're always looking for that ultimate what's going to make you happy. And staying in a marriage where you actually feel alone does not make you feel happy, And I think that with all the things that you become fearful of, the expectations, what people think, the children, everything stems from you. And if you're not happy or complete, then all of those people that care so much for you are not going to be happy either for you, because they'll see your misery. Your children see things. We're not hiding anything from our children. So what does that show them when we show them what a loveless marriage looks like? Instead of allowing them to see what love looks like, I'm sure that my children get a different experience with the relationship that their father has with his current partner, who he's been with 13 years, different from his relationship with their mother, who they were only with, he was only with for 9 years. So it wasn't a bad situation. We weren't in a violent household. We didn't fight and things of that nature, but the commitment level is different, because 13 years later they're still pushing, they're still together. They ain't married, but that was shade. But anyway,
but in spirit they are.
Right. Because in spirit we are not.
Exactly.
We are not. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about people who are separated and are not legally divorced yet?
I feel like it is this, it's like keeping church and state separate, two different things, right? Like spiritually separated, legally separated. It's all just kind of muddled together. You're divorced, whether it's on a paper or not.
And I think spiritually I fight with that, because, as a minister, I am, my job, and people really get it fucked up. I'm gonna just keep it point blank, period. People think that because you're a minister, then you're this sanctified, holy than thou person. You know what I'm saying? And that's far from the truth. You know what I'm saying? The truth is that maybe my understanding of the scriptures may be a little more deeper than yours, where I'm able to now share with you my learnings of the teachings of the scriptures or any other spiritual book that there might be out there to help us draw closer to this higher being. For me, that's Jehovah God. For my partner, that's Allah. For you, that might be just the scientific universe. It's something for everyone that's different, but at least showing people that there's connected, that we're connected to something. But as that minister, because I still have this persona that I'm supposed to be without sin, which I'm not, you know what I mean? What? Yes. It also comes with, well, how can you be in a relationship with someone else? Because, it's so funny. Saturday, we went out with his mom, right? And I was telling her about our menopause conversation the other week. And I was telling her that, randomly I'm just like peeing, right? And she was like, no, that's a urinary tract infection, right? And she was like, but wait, then she says, and because you're having sex, you need to go get some pills. And I was like, who am I having sex with? I'm not your son. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? How dare you think about me and your son having sex? Like, we're not having, I've only had sex 3 times in my life. My 3 kids. Isaiah even got sex outside of marriage. What do you mean? However, we be getting down. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is like, because I am not spiritually connected to my husband, and this is the man that I am with spiritually, and the man who I am at the moment planning a future with, how do I not be intimate with him in regards to,
Yeah.
when I'm planning a life with him? You know what I mean? Because I just don't understand the concept of I'm going to wait months at a time and marry someone that I've never shared this with yet. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the scriptures, when it talks about fornication, the promiscuity, the promiscuous behavior of sex could be the sin, because our body is a temple and we're just, willy-nilly giving ourselves often to everyone. But I believe that I do believe this, when you are in an intimate, committed relationship with someone, which I am currently in, then my intimacy or my fornication is not really fornication because I'm sharing that intimacy with my partner who potentially will be my next husband.
Now,
I
what
don't
about
know.
masturbation? Isn't that a sin too?
They say that, but I ain't never read that scripture. I'm dead ass. I ain't never seen that scripture yet.
Really? So that is just like a urban legend that's
I
been
think
like
it
thrown
is.
out there.
I haven't found that scripture and I have read the Bible. So, hey, people, if you know the scripture and where we said we cannot masturbate, please share those comments with us
And
because
send me the handbasket. I'm going to Helen.
the scripture that tells us that we are not supposed to masturbate. I want to know because we are taught that growing up that masturbation was wrong, which is why at 47 I don't know how to masturbate. But that's going to be another conversation. That's going to be another conversation. Because you would be surprised and disappointed to how many women who are in their 40s plus that do not know how to masturbate. Girl,
Yes.
girl.
Yep.
So that is a topic that we will be talking about on the next chapter where we discuss shades of gray because that shit right there. Because now that I am learning how to masturbate, I'm getting better too. Like, okay, I like my hand kind of gets tired, you know what I'm saying? And I don't last too long. And my toy, I'm working through it, but I'm getting better each time. So
Good.
are you a big fan of masturbation?
Fuck yes. Yes.
So
I've got a
anyway,
toy box.
you said a toy box?
A toy box. Yes.
All right. Well, on that note, we again want to thank all of our underwriters. StreamYard, we are now new to this platform, and I am loving all the graphics and edits that come with this. They are really a cute platform, and if they're not expensive at all, especially when you're sharing it with someone, like the ad was talking about the team. So the fact that you and I are making this investment together, shout out to StreamYard. We are definitely coming and streaming. And I don't know if you noticed, I sent you the invite so that you could get the broadcast from here as well, because I did notice that our views from last week to this week with last week's show, I think they funnel views to you as well, knowing that you're plugging and streaming from StreamYard. So shout out to StreamYard once again.
Nice.
Yeah. So you guys know this time of the show, you know what it is. We always ask you, we don't like to ask you because we don't like to do what everybody else does, but we know that we have to follow some kind of same suit. So you already know, like, share, and follow, and then subscribe to our YouTube channels because Melissa and I both have our own platform. So once again, like, share, and follow. And wait, share your thoughts because we want to know what you think. We want to keep you involved in the conversation with us. A few of you have said some things online, but I know you guys got some thoughts because we're in the 1,000 views. You're going to tell me that there's not but 6 and 7 of y'all that have enough courage to say something. So come on and share your thoughts. We want to hear. And when you share your thoughts, don't forget to like, share, and follow. And then afterwards, fucking subscribe to the channels. All right, stop playing. So I think, that this was almost a complete clean show. However, before we end, we have gotten several inboxes in regards to our healing retreats that we are planning this year. We are moving from Puerto Rico, and we are probably going to do our first retreat in the Dominican Republic. So, in order for you to stay up to date with all of that information, you need to join our Facebook group. It's the Next Chapter Healing Retreats. The Facebook group is where you can find out how to sign up, how to find out the different activities that we're going to be doing, because these healing retreats are a life-changing experience that Melissa and I have put together for you through the next chapter in our lives, and we just want to share that with you. So yeah, go to our Facebook group page, and then you will get all the information you need in regards to our healing retreats. Any sign off words that you have for the good people, my love?
And if you're looking for a beautiful piece of art, make sure you go over to melissadasilva.com/art.
Plug. Wait. Let's do that again. Go ahead, baby.
And if you're looking for a beautiful piece of art for your home, make sure you go to melissadasilva.com/art and get your beautiful piece for your place.
Plug, yes. And on that note, everyone, we thank you so much for joining us once again on the next chapter. And stay tuned for next week where we'll be discussing more topics and shades of gray.
When you're programmed to survive, legendary ciphers get the MCs in the jobs. The city never sleeps, slept from 1 to 5. When COVID hit the block and we had to stay inside. Tough love is all I know, so be gentle with myself. Learn to navigate winters with no coat. If you never been cold, you never been broke. Hustle 24/7 just to stay afloat. So New York, like dollar pizza in that cold shit. That real life, great from the heart of the city is as hard as it gets.